Hang it in the Louvre. Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our tactical debrief for Aston Villa 2, Manchester City 1. We may as well rename the channel the Morgan Rogers fan channel for this episode because I am going to be waxing lyrical on Morgan Rogers' performance. We're also going to break down Aston Villa's 2 goals. We'll take a closer look at the Manchester City goal. But how are we all feeling the day after? Yeah, it feels very good, doesn't it, to get that victory over Manchester City. Again, wonderful performance. I'm still buzzing. And I really want to take a deep dive into both of Aston Villa's goals because it's wonderful football. It's slick. It's just so good. And within each goal, there are little intricate details that I really want to go through and I want to be able to show you as well. So we're going to kick it off and start with Aston Villa's first goal against Manchester City. Now, what we can see here early on within the build-up, this was a very quick move from Aston Villa. It was one of Villa's quick, sharp, penetrative, vertical, straight through the middle, exactly how we can hurt teams. But before we get into that, I just want to highlight a subtle change to our system, but not only show you the subtle change, but to show you how brave we were. And this needs to be commended because, yes, Manchester City are out of form, but as I keep saying, they have still got very, very good players. They are managed by the world's best coach. He's so good. But what we did was very, very brave. So I'm going to show you what we did right now. Right. So what we can see is we can see Villa's build-up shape. Now, what we have been doing is we've been playing Matty Cash as a wing-back in the last 2 games, which enables him to stay high and wide. It also enables Luke Dean to stay high and wide as well. With that, we had an extra central defender in there, which gave us more protection and more cover. Against Manchester City, we didn't do that. We went with 2 central defenders, and we did this. So as you can see here, we've got Luca Dean on the left-hand side, and we've got Matty Cash on this side as well. And this is brave because what we're doing is we are leaving Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa at the back in a 2 at the back in our build-up shape. And that is brave. It's bold. But look how far apart the 2 centre-halves are from each other as well. There's a big distance. It's expansive. It's brave. We wanted to show what we're all about. We wanted to get on the ball. But with that, we have protection from Onana and we have protection from Kamara as well. And then we've got license, we've got runners, we've got players that can make those forward instinctive runs. And as you can see, as soon as Yuri Tielemans picks up the ball here, you can already start to see that Morgan Rogers has got a yard. He's got a yard on the Manchester City midfielder, and we can see this here. One pass slices straight through the Manchester City defence because, as we know, they like to bring in a central player in a central area. So a fullback will be going into a central area, into those areas, and then they will leave the 3 at the back. So by leaving the 3 at the back, we know that Villa are very good at exploiting this. We've seen it against Bayern Munich. We've seen it against Man City last year. We've seen it against Arsenal last year as well. And Morgan Rogers just continues his run through that gap. The ball has to be perfect from Tielemans, which it is. And then we're able to get a really big opportunity to score the goal. And as you can see, we've turned over the Manchester City defence, and we've basically got a player that's tearing down on goal. But the important thing is for Duran to make sure he's sort of in line and doesn't end up in an offside position as well. So Duran has to really time that run, and then we're able to get the finish through here. The composure from John Duran is absolutely insane. He's just ice cold in front of goal, and it feels like time slows down. And I think that's a big trait of any centre forward. So big up to Duran for getting the goal. Big up for the run. The Yuri Tielemans pass was absolutely immense. And I think Tielemans was fantastic. And the midfield three together combining just complemented each other really, really well. And we can see this from the Aston Villa passing network, that it is expansive, and it feels like there's a real method to everything that we're doing. And we can see here now that we've got that real central three, and this is something different to what we've been doing. You know, what we generally normally see is a Tielemans here, a Kamara here, and then the shadow striker position will be in and around, you know, this area here, supporting Ollie Watkins or John Duran. So that little tactical tweak of making sure that we've got three players in there to be really combative, to shut out areas, passing lanes, to cover ground, to block passes. There was times where there was, you know, three players that were on a little bit of a diagonal to cut out a pass that can go into those sort of areas. So it was really good from Villa. And then we adopted the front three. You know, the front three was Duran, McGinn, and Rodgers. And I thought that was brilliant as well. We can see that Cash was, you know, in that more defensive role as well. But again, what we're starting to see is what we've seen all season, that last season we had the double pivot. So the double pivot was on that little diagonal line through there, and that's where you'd have Kamara and that's where you'd have Luis. This season, we're starting to see both players now on the same line, and that really gives us, you know, a bit more license to press a little bit more, because we're not having to see Kamara, you know, push into that area or move over to there to engage. He's in a position now where he can press through there. And I think that's what we're starting to see this season as well. How many times this season now have we seen him, you know, pressing the opposition and getting into those areas? And I think that's a little tactical tweak of what we've seen. We've seen him being sort of a presser and more of an engager rather than just a blocker and a little destroyer, really. So I think we're starting to see different things from Kamara as well, which is really nice to see. And this front three was a tactical variation, and I really liked it. So it was really good from a Villa point of view. If we have a look at City, so City, you can see, you know, we're very dominant in that middle area. So by Villa having those three midfielders in there and being quite narrow, it stops those little intricate passes into a Foden or into a Bernardo, etc. So I think we played them really well. We were happy for it to go out here because, you know, very rarely does Grealish ever venture into that area. It's very much down here or very much back there. So as long as you're making sure that you're not getting beat and Grealish is getting past you, then you shouldn't have too many problems. So, you know, that was from a Villa and a City point of view as well. Now, one player that just absolutely was incredible to watch in that final third. He was incredible to watch him receive the ball. And what I really liked was that sort of composure when he was in his own half to play passes, and not just safe passes. He played the sideways cross-field balls into areas to his teammates. And I just thought Rodgers' all-round game was absolutely fantastic. And when Rodgers really gets going and gets motoring, he's unstoppable. He's absolutely unstoppable. Like I showed you the picture before the intro, and that is very Messi-esque photo. You know, that one where Messi's just surrounded by loads of players. And Rodgers against Manchester City was able to just drift glide, power through. And Manchester City weren't able to handle him at all. They couldn't get anywhere near him. Players were getting bumped off the ball. He was just so dynamic, and it's so endearing watching him play when he's just tearing through players with that power. So absolutely fantastic. So before we scored, Rodgers also had a big move as well. And Rodgers receives the ball on the edge of the area. So he's received the ball from Luka Dean. Now, his ability to take his time in this instance is so good, because what he could do is he could completely rush it and look for that quick pass, but he's comfortable to take his touch and to face up players. Morgan Rodgers, one of his biggest traits is he's not afraid to front players up. And he's just so good at knowing when to go and when to move and when to move that touch and go past the player. And he's got that power where players just, like I said earlier, they can't get anywhere near him. But another small thing that I'm starting to see is a Rodgers-Duran partnership. And it's starting to bubble. And it's about to blossom as well. And what we see here now is Rodgers gets the ball and he's fronting up the Manchester City player. And he looks for the give and go with Duran. The give and go with Duran is brilliant because he plays this little slip through pass to Duran. Duran obviously doesn't just flick it. He actually flicks it in between his leg back onto Rodgers. The flick here is absolutely brilliant. He does that little flick there, reverse flick into that area for Rodgers. Rodgers is then able to take a touch across a player. He's getting through the player now, and he fires his shot, and it hits the post and goes out. Now, the shot actually, you're looking at it and you're thinking he's got to go this way. So you're thinking that the area for him to go is there. But if you actually look closely, he makes the right decision because Rico Lewis is currently blocking that area. So he goes for the near post and it clips the post. But it's just all about Rodgers fronting up the players and having that belief that I can beat you. I can get past you. You're not going to stop me. And having that ability and that belief, this is where Rodgers is going to start to, that confidence, he's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. I don't want Rodgers to make an easy pass. I don't want him to just not do the instinctive things that he wants to do. Yes, sometimes he might lose the ball or he plays a really difficult pass. But this is all because I think it's in his locker. I think it's there. But it's just having that sort of confidence to get there. And we've started to see this season that there's games where Rodgers plays really, really well, like against Man City, against Arsenal, absolutely brilliant. This is what I think we could start to see on a regular basis. But he's just not there quite. He's got to get there. And this is all about player development. He's so young, and he's so young on his journey. And he talks about how Emery's pushing him each training session, each day. So you can tell that they're really working and finding the right answers and trying to grow as well. He's not the finished article yet. So he's probably is going to have some games where, you know, he might not be as good as others if teams shut him out too much. But we're starting to see how good Morgan Rodgers is. And I think it's so exciting of what the future holds for him. So again, we can see now that this is all about Morgan Rodgers for the goal that he actually scores. And again, he's rode one challenge already. One challenge. There's a Man City player on the floor, on his back. Done. See you later, mate. We're on to the next one. And then we just start thinking about driving into that open green grass through there. Where can I exploit? Where can I get to? Can I find the next pass? And again, he starts driving forward and he's looking. You can see him looking for McGinn to go through there. That's the pass that he's looking for. He plays this nice little pass, but also, if you look closely, he has to ride this challenge as well. He has to bump off this Man City player, which he's able to do. And then what he does is he finds a pass that goes out to John McGinn. Tielemans leaves it. He leaves it for John McGinn because he knows that John McGinn has an opportunity as well. But the biggest thing to note here as well is Tielemans doesn't stop. So keep watching Tielemans. So what happens? Rodgers now starts to realise he needs to get into that area. Duran obviously wants to get into that area anyway. But the important position here now is with Tielemans, because if Tielemans goes down there, it's not a great run. Tielemans bends his run and goes through here. And what that allows him to do is it allows space to open up for McGinn to pass or find a shot or find that next pass, because the space is opening up, because this player will then follow where Yuri Tielemans is going. So we then move it on slightly. We've got Tielemans now that is on that sort of overlap. The overlap now, because we can either go through there and we can go to Tielemans, or we can go inside, or we could try and get a shot off. And these are all options now, and big decisions that the Man City defenders have to make. And Rodgers is still getting into that area. We don't use Tielemans. We go into Rodgers. Rodgers has got space. He opens up for him as well. He's able then to front up two Manchester City players. Again, Rodgers is square on, and he's able to use that power to get onto that left-hand side as well. He then powers to the left, and then he plays this fantastic shot where I think the keeper is expecting it to go there. He's sort of giving him some space to work with. He's inviting it to go there because the keeper is probably stronger going to that side. But what Rodgers is able to do, he's able to send it the opposite direction. It's got precision, it's got power, and it's 2-0 to Aston Villa. And what two actions that I've been able to show you that really break down what Morgan Rodgers is all about. It's got everything there. It's got dribbling, it's got power, it's got accuracy, it's got the right decision making. And I think I'm probably going to say I think this might be Morgan Rodgers' best game. I think this is probably his best game. I thought the Arsenal game was probably his best up until yesterday. And I think this is probably trumped it now because we've got the end product there. We've got an assist and a goal. What numbers? Assist and a goal. So fantastic stuff. So let's have a little look then at the Manchester City goal. And watching it back, it's not the best from Villa. It's not the best, but there's an opportunity for us to deal with this very early on. And I think we should deal with this a lot better. And I think we should deal with it straight away. Now, we've got two Villa players here now. We've got Buendia and Watkins, both on Savinho, I think it is. We've actually got like three, really, or you could say four with these players here. You know, we're quite well set here. And we're in a good shape, to be fair. But what ends up happening is Savinho's able to drift and wriggle past these two players. And I really think one of these two players needs to engage and win this ball back. You know, you can't have two players that are on one and us not come away with the ball in this situation. But he's able to drift and wriggle around. He's able to then find Phil Foden. And we are a little bit unfortunate that Phil Foden takes a shot we're fortunate that it falls to Luca Dean, who it feels like it gets caught underneath his feet. It feels like it gets caught underneath his right foot, and obviously he's left-footed. And then Foden's able to close him down, nick the ball, and he's able to score. But I just feel like in this situation here, we've actually got 4 Villa players now around him. Onana's drifted over to him. We've got 4 Villa players over there. And it's just not a good goal to concede. You can see it's sort of stuck inside Luca Dean's foot. He has an absolute mare here. A little bit like Cash, when Cash cleared it when I was talking about on the match reaction. Digne needs to just clear this and it's fine. But we were able to hold on. I just wanted us after this to just keep the ball, which is pretty much what we did do. So it's a bit unfortunate, but we have to deal with that a lot better. Decision making from Watkins and Buendia initially. I think we need to just take it and just win the ball, and we're able to deal with it. But I think pretty much the show has been all about one man, Morgan Rogers. But I think what I mentioned about that partnership with Duran blossoming, I think there's a sign now. I see something that they're really enjoying playing together as well. So I think that's really good. Tielemans was just class, Kamara class. Power was stronger, which I thought was really good. So, all in all, a very good performance from Villa, and the goals that we scored were really good. I've watched the highlights about how many times? I watched them about 300 times, probably, just watching the goals and finding all the little things. But there's one image that's just gonna like stick with me on this game. And it's that one there. It's so good. It's so Messi-esque. It's like, Man City, can we have our ball back? And he's like, no, you're not having it. I'm keeping it. It's my ball. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic. And just really good. And I thought, we really handled Grealish well. Cash was really good. Pleased with that. Buzzing to hear that Emery was really pleased with the performance as well. So it's really pleasing. And, we've got a big game coming up on Boxing Day as well. So over the next couple of days, you're going to have your Newcastle preview. You are going to have your Newcastle preview. You're going to have the predicted lineup. And then on Christmas Day, you will then have your Christmas special. So I'm going to play you just before I go. So we are back again at Patty Freaks, but this time Christmas Day. It's our Christmas Day special. Ready, Snowman? Does anybody know one position that they feel like we're really desperately crying out for? Defensively, right-hand side, defensive, attacking position that we may need to strengthen?
To be honest, that first Champions League night, Bayern Munich, you couldn't have scripted that any better, could you? Bayern Munich, everyone's laughing at me because I've got this hat on. Yeah. Bayern Munich at home, the whole thing, the whole night was just absolutely unbelievable.
Your job is to pick the transfer fee. Was it higher or lower?
This is before the world knew that he was going to be on the bench or out of the squad for Exma, so I think it's
Brutal from Gavin.
I know. It is Christmas Day,
Christmas spirit go.
So there's a little teaser of what our Christmas special is going to be all about. So it'll be coming out on Christmas sort of evening when you've all had your turkey and you're just stuffed and you want to watch a special. So there's a game show in there as well. So that's the main part of the episode, the game show. But yeah, so cheers everyone for watching. Subscribe to the channel, smash the likes, comment your thoughts, up the Villa.